Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be doing a laptop screen replacement on this laptop. It's a Toshiba satellite L755, and as you can see, the lid is, the lid's fine, but the screen is fractured. You can clearly see the fracture all the way through here. Common thing on today's consumer grade laptops, I must say. Because they structured the entire lid off of the LCD screen. That's kind of a no-no. Need to have something better to structure it. This is not the worst I've seen, but I have seen better. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's say it's your average laptop, heavily used. About a bazillion fingerprints on it. First thing I gotta do here is we gotta get this inner piece of the lid removed before I do anything else. Take out the battery, just to be safe. Original battery. Alrighty. First thing I do is we gotta pry off these little covers that cover the screws. Try to get back far enough where you can see most of everything. That's close. Yeah, just gonna get these popped out of there. We'll try not to damage them, so we can put them back in when we're done. But in my personal, experience, once they are pried off, they'll never want to stay back on. I used to really like Toshiba laptops. I mean, they seem to be decently built. You didn't really seem to have too many problems with them. Now, I don't seem to see nearly as many times with Toshibas where you have motherboard failures and cooling system failures and stuff like that. But it just seems like their newer laptops are built so cheap. They're built so cheap. And it's not something I like to see in laptops. But just as I said in a prior video, or at least in the description of that video, consumers were asking for cheap laptops. They got cheap laptops. And it is keeping the IT consultants in business. So anyways, let's go ahead and take these 4 screws out. It seems like this one's going to be pretty easy to work on. I was hoping that because they need to get it done, like ASAP. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. It's kind of hard for me to watch a camera and do my job at the same time. I took the screw out over there. I tell you guys, they sell laptops out there. It seems like you have to halfway tear everything down just to get access to tearing the lid apart. But this one here seems like it's probably going to cooperate without having to go to that extreme. And on a side note, recently worked on the HP Envy laptop. I think it's an Envy. No. Might have been just a Pavilion. It was a newer one with Windows. It was Windows 7. Probably from 2012. They literally had screws hidden up under a sticker that went across the whole bottom. And that was aggravating to figure out. But anyways, let's go ahead and take this apart. And of course, be careful with the plastic. Because let me tell you, this thing is... like it wouldn't take much to break it. And apparently this thing has been dropped. Because I'm getting plastic bits out of here. And that's generally not a good thing. Yep, I see where they originally had went. Something happened to this lid. I mean, literally. Thing has been dropped. Like literally a chunk of plastic just came off the back side of it. Off the back corner over here. Just popped off. Not a good sign. But even if it, even if it was cosmetically damaged from the drop, it still can be repaired. At least the screen can. I'll get you a closer look at what I was referring to. That came off mighty easy. Wasn't too much to that. You know, guys, I think I worked on one really similar to this before. A Toshiba. And it was about the same affair. It was pretty easy to get into. See, it's already popped off. Nothing to it. I'm going to close this back and show you what I was referring to earlier. Like on this back corner here, this whole piece of plastic just popped off. I don't apply much. I don't apply a whole lot of pressure to these things when I'm pulling these, assemblies loose. That tells me this thing has likely been dropped. It may have actually hit in this corner, but yeah, something definitely has happened. I would definitely suspect it being a drop. So now, what we'll do is we'll take these screws out. There's only two. One here and one here, and two more on the other side. Generally, you'll find 3 screws on one of these, but not in this case. Toshiba decided to skimp and only do 2. Already 8 minutes in. See if we can make this a screen replacement in under 20 minutes. You know what's really disturbing here? That screw was not even tight. It was not even tight. Now when I reassemble this thing, I'm going to check the screws in the bottom and see if there's any that have backed out. There's the screws on that side. We got 2 more on this side. So I don't know if you can see it all or not. Look at this. Another loose screw. I mean, it wasn't even in all the way. That's 2 loose screws now on the display. Now that one, sort of loose, but not very, not very tight. I mean, not the loosest in the world, but it wasn't very tight either. So now this whole LCD should just lift out. Then we got a webcam cable up here we got to disconnect. We'll figure out how that comes out. It just pulls out. Yep, simple enough. Carefully disconnect the video cable. Yeah, you can see me. Pull this tape off there completely. I'll use some new tape to replace it. Tell you what, they really adhere these things down. These cables. Yeah, that mess up there, I don't think it'll be good. See, Samsung LCD panel. I think the one we're putting in is the LG. I'm not sure. Yeah, generally, oftentimes you'll find LG displays and like Samsung displays and laptops like this. This is a it's a simple LED backlit LCD panel. Nothing to it. The LED ones are generally easier to replace and cheaper to replace. So that's a good thing. And they're more efficient. Something else I like. Less power draw means more battery life. Brand new replacement. It's actually an Innolux that we have here. I thought it was an LG, I don't know why. Hey, as long as it works. A couple years ago I bought a display for a Presario CQ62 and it was a weird brand I never heard of, but 2 years later that display is still working just fine. Anyways, kind of want to leave that plastic on there for now. What I'll do here, I guess I'm going to have to pull it, pull this back a little bit. Anyways, here you can see Innolux upside down. Seems like a legit panel. Shouldn't have any problems with it. Shouldn't have no compatibility issues. Now we'll just go ahead and reattach this cable just like it was prior. Try to leave that protecting plastic on this display until it's ready to be installed. Reconnect the screen connector there, and refix this adhesive. Grab some tape, some packaging tape, preferred for this. 14 minutes into the video. Once we get this LCD back in here, we're going to check this thing to make sure the hard disk is okay. Because I am heavily suspecting this thing was dropped. And I've had an instance where, right trying to replace the LCD panel, the hard disk up and failed from being damaged from the computer being dropped. So we want to definitely look into that. Okay, got the tape on there. Now, let's go ahead and put the LCD into its spot carefully. Pull this tape out further. Reattach the webcam cable. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, good. Carefully reattach that cable. So that the webcam will work. Pull this back out just a little bit. Okay. Need to get that tape loose from behind these tracks. Here comes the fun part, putting these screws back in. Alrighty. Let us re-screw this thing back into place. The process of putting the whole thing back together. And one good thing about this is those screws will be tight this time, not loose. Definitely. Alright, we're 1640 now. I'm not tightening those all the way until we get all four in, or at least both on each side. I'm going to tighten this side down. I'm making dang sure those screws are tight. I mean, these tracks on the side were like barely on there. They're just hanging on. I'll do this side. I have to keep readjusting this camera for you guys. There we go. Alright, going on 18 minutes now. Guys, I don't think we'll have it done in 20 minutes, but we'll be close. Say 25 minutes. You know, working on computers, particularly working on laptops, you want to take your time and be careful with things. Don't try to rush yourself, because you can really screw things up. Such as whoever assembled this laptop to begin with. Leaving those screws loose. Get this one started, I think I'll be good. Right, remove the plastic cover. Reattach the outer plastic. It went in there much easier than it came out. Snap this whole thing back together. And look at this, guys. An LCD screen with no fingerprints. It is fresh. You know, I like glossy screens. I kind of prefer them over, you know, the other kind, such as what's on my displays. It's funny, back in the days when this Vista came out, I always thought it looked really nice on the new laptops coming out with the glossy screens. Anyways, I'm going to reattach these 4 screws. Yeah, guys, this thing has definitely been dropped. Yeah, I really hope the hard disk hasn't failed. On the same side that this plastic piece was broken off, I'm seeing things I don't really like. I really hope I don't have to inform the client that their computer screen is busted. Whoops. Take it back. Guys, I hope I don't have to tell the client that their hard disk has failed. And one thing in particular I'm not liking here is this lid. You know, these screws were originally holding this upper piece, that, you know, assembly in place, but after this thing getting dropped like it, you know, like it did, the inner pieces that the screws actually go into, I mean the inner piece of this lid assembly is not even being held together by anything anymore, so it's liable to snap loose. The bottom screws are holding it in, but not the top ones. Don't particularly like that. Go ahead and reattach our little black thingies. Try and make this thing look like it's never been serviced. That was an epic fail. As I mentioned, guys, these things, once you take them off, they do not want to stay on. Once you break that adhesive that holds these on, they do not want to stay. You know, guys, I'm trying to remember if those upper screws were holding this assembly that, you know, is there. I can't remember for sure. Last one. Alrighty, it's on there. Screen has been successfully replaced, but I want you guys to look at something here. Notice how this thing is not even staying closed like it should. Now look at this back corner. There's a spot there's a piece of plastic that broke off when I was disassembling this. And if you look down here, you can see another fracture mark in the plastic. Right there. And right above the power jack assembly. There's been some damage there. So first thing I'm going to check is I'm going to make sure all these screws are in tight. I think some screws have backed down the bottom side of this thing. I mean, it's very well possible. Especially the way these things are made nowadays. So I'm going to check these screws and make sure they're not backed out. That one was very loose. Torque it down really good. That was tight. 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 Loose. I mean, very loose. Missing a screw here. Sort of loose. loose. Yeah, I can turn it a little bit. Turn it a little bit. Turn it just a little bit. Yeah, guys. Safe to say this thing's been damaged. Okay, that's just the optical drive doing its thing there. Alrighty, now that we have torqued down, you know, all the major screws, let's go ahead and reinsert the battery. Not sure if the battery's any good, so I'll have to dig out the AC adapter. And let us see what kind of condition this thing is in now. You know, other than the display being fractured. Did you hear that? Just me opening the thing sounded like... didn't sound all that great. Lid has a little bit of play in it, which makes me wonder if the screws that hold the lid assembly on have possibly backed out. That happened on mine from 1525 about a year ago. Alrighty, let's grab the AC adapter and let's plug it up. Oh geez, guys, look at this. Look at the AC adapter end. Does that look crushed to you? Sure does to me. Now let me look at the jack. The jack is okay. But man, that AC adapter though, hey, it fits in now. I mean, it's still okay, but I wonder if it was dropped with the, you know, while it was plugged in. Alrighty then, let's plug it in. Okay, everything there is okay. It's getting power. There's our brand new LCD working okay. Okay, hard disk hasn't, you know, hard disk is okay. At least from what we see now. It was probably not shut down properly. I'm guessing, you know, one if it was whoever had it started it, solder busted the LCD and then powered it off. I do see one bad pixel there on the LCD. Possibly defective in the LCD. Not really sure. Other than that, it looks fine. And of course, client did not give me a password, so you know what? I think I'm going to just power this thing down. Boot it off of the Windows CD. And let's see how the hard disk is. That was it. See how hard disk is doing. Because honestly, you see it's not looking too good. It's better to catch this kind of stuff early on. Because right now it's in a state of caution, but it's not, you know, in a state of, you know, it's about to fail. I mean, this thing can last for maybe another year just fine, but same time, you know, when this software tells you that the hard disk, you know, the health status is caution, it's not good. Now, take a look at this. I can see, other than this thing being dropped, I can see why this disk is failing. Look here, power on hours, 3887. That's not a whole lot. Not a lot of power on hours at all. But look at the power on count. That disk has been powered on over 5,000 times. So think about it, power cycled over 5,000 times. Not good. Original disk, original OS install. You can tell just by looking at the name of the C label on a Toshiba. If it says TI and a bunch of garbage afterwards, it's a Toshiba pre-install. I don't know why they even bother putting these stupid names in. They might as well just leave it out and just keep it local disk. Let's scroll down and it has to do with sectors. In C5, current pending sector count, it's not happy. So anyways, we'll be returning this laptop to the customer, but letting them know that their hard disk is on the verge of failure, and to, if you want to go with that, to go ahead and order a replacement drive. So anyways, that was replacement of the LCD panel on this laptop, and diagnosing the hard disk, and which in fact it is beginning to get pretty unhealthy. So anyways, any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and thanks for watching.